Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is DoctorTonyTonyChopper, and this is part 2 of the review for the Master Grade Tallgeese EW version. In this part, I'm going to go over how all of these runners over here turned into these parts, weapons, and accessories for him. And if you guys missed part 1, be sure to click it right up over there. And, well, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so starting from the bottom, here is our leg. It's relatively good. It has a nice armor separation right here, right where the knee is. So that's actually really cool. One of the more awesome looking knee separations, I have to say, in my opinion. Also, this armor part right here just looks really, really nice. The construction of this was relatively good, and also the articulation is decent as well. You get almost a 180 bend right here, and right up here for the part where it pegs into the rest of the kit, it moves right around there, and then if you put it back to the front, it can go up until it hits that point. Now down here, you have to be a little bit careful with this ankle armor. If you are trying to pose him with the feet and anything, this can actually come off relatively easy. So all you gotta do is just pop that back in. When you are planning to build this guy, you might want to glue that in place, just a suggestion. In terms of articulation for the bottom of the feet, you can point forward like that. The toe moves ever so slightly, and it can move up just about that much. Hopefully you guys can see that. And it goes up about that much. In terms of articulation going side to side, it can go about that much, and like that. The color separation is really good on this. You have the nice yellow popping through, with the white all over the place. There is no really gray, real great look on this right here. This is where the skirt armor plugs into, and yeah. We have nice gray accents on both sides here, and the bottom of the foot actually looks pretty decent. So if you do plan to paint it up, it looks really cool. Alright, second up we have the waist skirt or waist armor. Now these are some of the biggest side skirts I've ever seen. There's actually no like compartment or gimmick for this to open up or anything, but this does peg into the leg right there, and this moves around like so. I'm gonna show you guys that in a different part, of course. Up here, this part also moves as well at this point, and it also moves again. So there's two ball joints right here. The inner frame on the bottom side actually looks really, really nice, and it's actually pretty cool. So it can move up like that, go up like that, turn sideways, typical ball joint stuff. And yeah, this part moves as well. Now, you should be able to get decent poses out of him, especially with front kicking anything if he wants to, because these parts actually are very, very small. They're on individual points as well. They move around ever so slightly, but I would be pretty careful with these as well. You don't want to break these. These can move pretty well on them by themselves independently. Now, one cool little gimmick on the back here is one of these pods. All you have to do is put your finger here, whip it open, and you get to see the thruster inside. Which is cool. Now if you look at it from here, they did this cutout hollow thing here, and that actually looks really cool. Not really sure what that purpose is for, but oh well. So yeah, the thrusters point out and it looks really nice. This is actually one of the cooler skirt systems I've actually made. There's a lot of cool moving parts and a lot of these gray bits that are accent pieces that are sticking out, which really breaks up the white, if you believe it or not. And if you haven't noticed already, this part right here is gray, and also some other parts here are gray, so we get kind of that cool color separation thing going on. The chest armor is really, really simple. It's very good with color separation again. We have gray parts down here, and all up in the lower part of the abdomen, and then up here we have another gray part right here for the cockpit. Cockpit actually opens up, and there is a, if you guys can see, it's kind of hard, a Zex Marquise stuck inside there, and we have these nice parts right here with the yellow sticking through, looking really, really nice. And back here, this is mainly for the thruster pod or backpack, or whatever you want to call it. They're just on this one hinge right here, and they move back and forth like that. The thruster pod is supposed to turn sideways like that when it gets plugged in. Now, one cool thing about the neck is when you move the neck, the piece right here moves along with it. So it actually looks like it has a neck guard that's moving with him, and that's relatively cool and unique. Also, another cool thing is the arms can actually pop out like that, or the joint can at least. and that's relatively, well, that's a lot more than the other side, as you can see, a comparison right there. So that's cool. Hopefully it'll be able to touch the other shoulder. And in terms of articulation down here, it can do some ab crunches that way, and it can also go sideways a little bit. And in terms of moving side to side, that's as far as we're going to get. Alright, the arm is finally, arm, shoulder, hand is probably the most unique area of the kit. Has a whole bunch of different colors. Got these navy blue for the hands and for this joint area. We have this yellow here, which actually stands out quite a bit. Same with the trim down here as well. In terms of articulation, though, this part actually moves, and it's covered up, so, you know, no exposed inner frame or anything. So that moves like that. We have rotation underneath the shoulder. This part right here actually moves quite a fair bit, but the armor is going to get in the way, obviously, eventually. And right here for the shoulder, or the elbow, it actually bends quite a bit, pretty much a 180. And we get awesome color, or not color separation, we get cool elbow armor separation right here. Really awesome. I wish they did it on more kits. They do it on more kits, but like to do it this good looking. There's a lot of different areas where they left parts to stick through, and that looks really, really nice. And also for the manipulators, these are the standard wing manipulators, so we're looking at just the thumb and the rest of the thing plugged in like that. And all you have to do to switch these out is rip that open and then peg it in like so. And after you do that, you can switch them out. Now, well, the only thing I'm a little worried about is these falling off, especially with him holding the Dober gun and also the shield. So hopefully that works out well. But other than that, this looks pretty good so far. And in terms of different manipulators you can put on, there's a whole plethora. One for each side. So we have the left and right open palms right here. We also have the holding beam saber hands, closed fists, and also trigger fingers as well. I'll put these on later on so you guys can see, but just so you guys know, there's a lot of different options for hand manipulators and where you can put the hands in terms of posing. Alright, there's actually one more gimmick on the shoulder armor or arm area, and that's this panel right here. If you put your nail in here, you can pop it open. And the connection piece that connects the Dober gun actually goes in here. So I'll see how that goes. Finally, to complete the body, we have the head. Right here we have that iconic broomstick look right here, emulating some of those old soldiers from the ancient times, which is really cool. The red here, on camera it looks like a decent looking red, but in real life it's actually kind of pinkish, so that's kind of strange in my opinion. Back right here we have some nice yellow accent parts, and in the face sculpt, it's actually pretty decent. You can actually see quite a bit. It's actually very, very nice in that aspect. Here's a very close-up look for you guys. Now in the manual it says that you can actually rip open the top half and reveal what more or less looks like a Leo head. So is that Bandai hinting that we're going to get a Master Grade Leo in the future? I don't know, but that'd be pretty cool. Too bad they didn't put a little more gray pieces or anything else into the head to make it look a little more Master Grade E, but this is still pretty decent. Alright, moving on to some of the accessories or backpack. Here is the thruster pod. You get two of these guys, and there's a whole bunch of, well, the main thing is made out of gray plastic. This light gray color goes throughout the whole thing, and the only white pieces on this guy are right here and right here for this fin, and this yellow that breaks it up a little bit. Now, there's a cool little mechanism. How you want to pull it open is grab this one end and grab this other end, and you pull it like that. Then it whips open and reveals a whole bunch of goodies on the inside. Two thrusters and a whole bunch of gray inner frame. This is actually really, really cool, and this part right here, if you move it, it actually moves the thruster. I don't know if you guys can see that. Make sure you don't move this too much, because I have noticed if you put this too far out, the thruster falls off, and the only way to actually put it back in is if you go and rip apart everything. And that's a pain in the ass, and no one wants to do that. Right here is the connection point that connects to the back of the Tallgeese. And like I said before, it's this circular connection, so this just swivels back and forth like that. And with the combination with how this can actually go forward, and everything else, it will be able to move like that as well. And of course you get two of these. Next up we have some of these connection points. Now these connection points are specific to each arm, so you can't actually like put one on the other one on one of the other one. This one is supposed to go on the shield side, I believe, and this one is for the Dober gun because it's so freaking complex. These do have decent mobility and range of movement. This can move like so. Oh, hopefully you guys can see this in focus. It moves like that, and also can swivel a bit. Also down here there's another mechanism right here which moves, and this is a ball joint on this side. This pegs into the arm or the shoulder like so, like remember the compartment I told you before. And for this one it's pretty much the same thing. This part it's connected through a ball joint, so hopefully you guys can see that it's ball jointed in, and this ball joint on this side where it connects to the shield. Here is the shield. Now you notice that there's this nice yellow ring around it. That's really good color separation on Bandai's part. On the inside we have a whole bunch of, well, kind of like an inner frame for it, a nice little housing. There's a little bit of movement here with the handle. The manipulators are supposed to be put into here and then whatnot. Wonder how that's going to work though. The beam sabers, there's actually an area for this. These two little areas are actually like removable, and they're actually supposed to house the beam sabers. Right here is where you plug in that connection point for the mount when you put it to the mount, yeah, for the shoulder. Now the kit comes with two beam sabers. They're identical, and also two curved beam saber blades in nice pink. Now these guys right here, they are two-piece beam sabers, so all you gotta do is rip it open, put it back, yada yada yada. And the cool thing about this is, well, I'll show you how it looks like with it in, I guess. All you do is pop it in like so, and that's what the beam saber looks like, nice and curved, and looks really nice. Now there's a cool little storage thing you can do with this, and that's if you take this handle and you go and take your shield. Remember those areas where I said you can put the beam saber? Well, here it goes. You just shove it in like that. That little peg has to support this entire thing. Now that's one thing I don't quite like very much, and that's having to do that. I'm a little worried that that's going to break, especially that little itty bitty peg, if you can see right there. It's probably going to break off eventually, which is kind of alarming to me. So hopefully this won't break and you won't be crying. As you can see, it's a little bit loose already. And of course, saving the best for last, here is the Dober gun. Now this guy is pretty decent. Now the seam lines on this are absolutely inexistent, mainly because how the construction works. They just put a whole bunch of parts covering things up. Now one thing I do want to talk about a little bit though, is the construction of the barrel right here. You can see that nasty seam line right there, and it goes all the way down, and it just looks very bad in my opinion. They could have done something against that barrel, but I guess you can just go and fix it up. Right here it looks really cool. It separates up a little bit, and it's very hollow looking if you look down the barrel like that. Also, we do have a clear part right here. You're supposed to put a sticker there, but I'm gonna try not to do that. There's a little bit of color separation here with the gray, the light gray, the gray, and the blue. Now this thing has one gimmick and one gimmick only, or technically two. There's a spring loaded inside, so it's spring loaded. What you gotta do is, if you put it down a little bit, pull this down a little bit, then this part comes out. After that, you pull the whole thing out, and it can fire. This is supposed to keep it in place, and it's supposed to be relatively sturdy, so that's kind of cool. If you don't want to grab it by here or put this down and grab it out, you can actually just do it right here if you want to, and pull it out that way. And the barrel actually goes in and out. So it actually locks into place, which is kind of cool, but ultimately useless. And another moving part is right here. This moves back and forth, and also that moves ever so slightly. So hopefully this works a little bit better when it's in the hands of the kit. Alright guys, that marks the end of this part 2 of the review for the Master Grade Tallgeese EW version. Now I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, please drop me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and, well, just help me out by sharing the video a bit. And if you guys haven't watched the last part, it's just over there. Just give that a little clicky click. My name is Dr. TonyTonyChopper, and I'll see you guys at the next part. Peace out.